It's 1:16. I didn't quite hit the 1 p.m. mark, but give me just a second while I share out from my phone if I can. Yep, there it is. Share to page. Give me just 1 second. Whoops, wrong page. Share to page. Rapid Client Interaction System. I'll get started in just one moment. This part is, if you guys have seen my video before, I didn't know how to share, because you can't share from when you're doing Facebook Live from your laptop. You have to do it from another device, or at least that's what I've been told. I don't see an option to share from there. So let me share it to my other page. And give me just one moment. I don't know if I can share it directly on. Let me try it. I don't know if I can share it directly on my actual Facebook personal page. Maybe I can. I don't know. Maybe it's it, but I don't want to take up a lot of your time with that, because I can always share it out later and push it out to YouTube and all of those types of things. Just a couple of things I'm going to share with you this exciting Friday afternoon. It's Friday, April 27th. Happy birthday to Don Evans, if you know who he is. That's cool, or who he was. Rest in peace, Don. That's my dad. Well, one of my father-in-law. But one of the things, I'm going to share with you two quick things today. Well, somewhat quick. And I kind of indicated in one of the posts, or where I shared it out, that it was going to be a bit of a bonus piece of content at the end. And that's kind of a small piece. It's a small piece of information, but it reaps huge benefits if you really know how to apply that to your marketing. So let's get into it today. So the first thing I want to share with you today is about having the right mindset. And of course we hear about that a lot, that you want to be in the right mindset. But one of the challenges that we have when it comes to mindset is the fact that people feel like mindset is something you just do, or you kind of do to yourself and then you're done. Let me pick up the right mindset, boom, and I'm good. Let me read one book about mindset, and hey, I'm good. Or whatever the case is. But that's not how mindset works, unfortunately. It'd be nice if it did, if we could all change our mindset very quickly with just one book. Read one book, read one quote. We see quotes all the time about something to encourage ourselves or to remind ourselves how powerful we are, how much capabilities what capabilities we have inside, just all the many things that we can do. And many of you have these business dreams that are really big, right? How many of you have big dreams? Like you really want to do something big, not big just and it's okay if your goal is, hey, I want to make a lot of money. But some of you have goals that are bigger than you are because you're trying to serve a lot of people. And in serving a lot of people, quite honestly, you probably will wind up making a lot of money. That's its own mindset issue right there. Like we could stop and just talk about mindsets about and around money, because many of us have a hang up about money. We have I gave a talk one time and I said some of us have a bad relationship with money. We operate from a spirit of lack. We assume that everything is about what's in our bank account right now, instead of looking at things differently. Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad Poor Dad, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, he stated before, he said he never says, I can't afford this or that. He never gets into making statements like that, because they're statements that shut down your creativity. Instead of saying, hey, how can I afford this? a lot of people just say, oh, I can't afford it. And that way their subconscious no longer has to be involved with that particular thought process because it's outside of my realm of capabilities, so I can just put that aside. But if you say, how can I afford it? That requires some effort on your subconscious mind to engage that process and to figure out ways that you can move from where you are to where you would like to be. Mindset. Mindset is not about a quick change, a quick fix. Mindset is a constant reminding yourself. I was speaking to a friend of mine named Sherry, and Sherry was saying that I'm paraphrasing, but in essence, she was realizing she was having to cut off certain thought processes quickly, but she was realizing it's a continual process. The Bible even talks about, in 2 Corinthians 10:5, it's not specifically talking about mindset in terms of business, but it's about a mindset in general, in some instances, in some ways. But the point is, it talks about casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God. So it's talking about a particular element of our lives. But in general, it's important that we cast down, like it's a continual process of casting down imaginations. It wasn't cast as in past tense, like, oh, I've cast it down once, so I'm good. No, it's about casting down as a continual process. You're always going to be casting down imaginations, always putting these things behind you. And when it comes to you and your business and your own personal success, you have to continually feed yourself with the right mindset because you've gone your whole life. I'll be 50 this year, and one of the things I've been dealing with is 49 and a half years of negative input into my subconscious. Some I put there myself, some people help you with and put it into you. But the fact of the matter is, oh, I don't like that glare. Sorry, I just saw the glare in the reflection. Let me take the glasses off. I don't need them for this. So sometimes, we don't realize how much negative impact has touched our lives over the course of our lives. There's a lot of negative things that go into us and that are fed into us. Sometimes it's family, friends, and again, like I said, sometimes it's ourselves. And we need to put some of those things away, but we can't just say, hey, I no longer receive this negative thing, or I'm no longer going to believe the lie. You have to replace the lie with a truth in order to truly displace it. You can't just say, hey, I don't believe you anymore. You got to take the lie out and then move a truth into its place. Let me share with you a little bit of Man in the Mirror. It's a signature talk of mine. And again, it's called Man in the Mirror, just like Michael Jackson's song. Michael took that from, okay, not really. But anyway, so with Man in the Mirror, many of you are familiar with the song. But he talks about if you want to make a change, right, you got to take a look in the mirror. Well, no. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look in the mirror and make a change, because that's where it starts, with the man in the mirror. But let me share with you 3 quick aspects of aspects of the man in the mirror. So the first aspect of the man in the mirror is the literal one, right? When we look at ourselves in the mirror, who do we see looking back at us? There's a story in the Bible about the 12 spies, and the 12 spies are sent into the land to check it out, and then they come back and give a report. But they give 2 different reports. One group says, hey, we could take this land at once. We could overcome the inhabitants and take the land. But the second group says, oh, slow down, partner. We can't take that land. There's giants in the land. We can't take that land. We're not capable to overcome them. Well, at the end of the story, there's a little, at the end of that text, it says, and this is from the perspective of those that said they could not take the land. And it said, we were as grasshoppers in our own sight, and so there we were in their sight. In other words, it wasn't about the giants' perspective of them, but it was about their perspective of themselves that was causing them the problem, that was causing them not to get to where they want to be. Question for you is your self-perspective the thing that's keeping you from getting where you want to be? Are people responding to how you see yourself? Are they saying things about you because that's what you're believing about yourself. Are you already believing that about yourself and you're projecting that image out? That's something we have to consider. It's not always about people putting quote unquote negativity on us. We may be putting out that some people call energy, but we may be putting that out in essence and then receiving it back. So give that some thought. Make sure that that's not what's going on in your lives. The second aspect is the part where others see us. You guys are looking at me, and it's about how others perceive us. Now, we do have a dynamic where we have some play in that, because if I want to be seen as a good father, I can do things that good fathers do, and I'll be hopefully perceived that way. If I want to be a good husband one day, then I could say that I could do things that good husbands do, and I'll be able to be perceived as that someday. But sometimes we get perceived in ways that really have nothing to do with us when people have their own perceptions. I shared when I shared the Man in the Mirror the last time, I shared the story of when I was a kid playing football and how I was always like one of the last kids picked, presumably because I was so much smaller. But this one particular day we were playing football and I wound up scoring 2 touchdowns during this particular game. Now all of a sudden after that I started being picked in the top 1 or 2, maybe the top third, top 3 people playing, but normally first or second after that. And what had happened was the very next day, after I scored those touchdowns, the very next game that we played, the captain of the team chose me. And as soon as he chose me, a lot of other guys said, "No, that's not fair. We're not going to play." And the funny thing is, a week before, days before, no one cared whose team I was on. Now all of a sudden, my being on the team with him by itself was unfair, and they were unwilling to play. The question is, what changed? Nothing changed about me. I didn't become a better football player that day. So what changed? Only their perspective. Their perspective of me changed. But my perspective of myself hadn't changed. Make sure that your perspective of yourself is in line, which we talked about the first step. But when it comes to others, be careful of how you allow others to feed into, or how they get to determine or try to dictate to you who you are. They try to reflect an image back at you in essence. Make sure that the people around you are people that are going to build you up and continually encourage you. Even if you fall, even if you make a mistake, even if you make a huge, colossal mistake, make sure that there's people in your life that's going to encourage you to do better and to help you to get to where you want to be. Seriously, you hear this all the time. Think about who your friends are. You're an average of your 5 closest friends in terms of income, etc., etc. You're kind of going to be an average of that mix. So if you want to raise your mix, you're going to have to change who you're hanging with. I don't mean like you're suddenly better than somebody else. You're just deciding you're going to go on a path, and you wouldn't take everybody on a journey. For example, if you decided, now I don't know how many of you guys do this, but if you're going to go camping, or you got to go into some kind of wilderness experience, if you will, but it's going to be really rough on you. You're not taking everybody on that trip, right? Because you already know you have friends that they'll be complaining 10 minutes into the climb up the hill. Why are you taking them with you? There's some people are going to say, "Why are we going up the hill anyway? I don't get it." You don't want to take them with you. So there's a lot of things that we can see in certain instances where we would not take those folks with us. However, we allow those folks to speak into our lives as if they have something to offer in that regard. And maybe they do and maybe they don't. But you really want to give thought to who it is you're allowing to speak in your life and who it is you're keeping in your circle. Your circle, your really close circle, should be really small. And it should be the types of folks that you want to either aspire to be like, or they're at least heading in the same direction. So if I'm going up a hill, I'm going into a wilderness experience, be cool to go with someone else who was already ready to go. They already have the mindset that they want to go on this trip with you. Because if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to succeed, statistically, 5% of people succeed. Now, we can get into different definitions of what success is, but only 5% succeed. So are you going to be one of the 5%? Now, hopefully you were able to quickly say in your mind, yes, I am going to be. But if you weren't, go back to mindset. Work on your mindset. Continuously feed things into your mindset. Find a couple YouTube videos or something inspirational that's going to put you in the right frame of mind. Get scriptures that are going to get you locked into the right way of thinking so that you can move in the direction that you need to move in and you have the proper perspective of who you are. The last part of the man in the mirror, again, the first part was how we perceive ourselves. The second part is how others perceive us. And then the third part is the real us. Who are we really inside? A lot of us, you see people online, oh, I'm grinding, I'm getting this in, I'm working hard, da 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 da. And the fact of the matter is, statistically, a lot of people aren't really, they may be busy, but as my daughter used to say, are you busy getting by or busy getting ahead? There's a difference. And many people are busy, but they're not necessarily doing it on a level that they could be. Or the other thing is, and they could be performing really well from a world standpoint. Again, I've spoken to groups and I've told them, listen, you could be making, well, I didn't specify a number, but you could be doing well from a world standpoint, right? You could be doing, let's say you're making $150,000, which puts you in the top couple percentile points of the world's income, the world's population of income. So that's cool. So it looks good. You might have some decent things, a nice place to live, and all of these types of things. But the question is, are you really reaching your potential? Are you doing as much as you can do? That's really the question. Not am I doing enough to make my life good? Am I touching enough lives? Am I touching the number of lives that I was put here to touch? Again, as a speaker, if God has placed in me the ability to reach millions and I only reach hundreds of thousands, you guys might say, oh man, Kelly, you were killing it. You reached hundreds of thousands of people. But at the end of the day, I didn't live up to the full potential that God gave me. I'm not saying you need to reach large numbers to reach the potential God gave you. Only you know where maybe God placed you here for a few people to impact their lives. It doesn't matter what the number is. The question is, are you living up to your potential? But the last part about who we really are is about whether or not we're telling ourselves the truth about where we are and why we are where we are. Sometimes people will talk about the economy, or maybe if they're in network marketing or MLM, they may be talking about the business that they were in before. My upline wasn't any good, or if you're in a particular business, no one's buying this product, or whatever the case is. I've seen people talk about the economy is usually a big one because people will say that's the thing that's keeping them from selling their house, or from doing whatever it is they're trying to do. And I'm not saying that there aren't factors that impact us, but factors show us our resourcefulness. It's not there to necessarily stop you, but to see, are you willing to push beyond it? Every time a barrier or something comes in your way, you need to figure out, hey, how do I get past this? But the question is the why in your mind big enough? But let me share a quick story with you about about being honest about who we really are. So there's this guy I worked with years ago when I worked for MBNA, and we would see each other in the hall, but this particular day we stopped and kind of introduced ourselves to one another. Anyway, I worked for a division called Distributed Systems, and that's where they developed the software for that company. And he said, oh, I always wanted to work in systems. I was like, wow, really? I said, well, what did you want to do in systems? He said, well, I don't really know. I just always wanted to be in systems. So I said, well, what do you do now? What do you do for MBNA now? He said, oh, I work in the mailroom. And then I said, oh, really? How long have you been here? He said, about 7 or 8 years. I said, oh, okay, cool. I said, were you always in the mailroom? He said, no. And these are his words. I always have to state his words. But he said, I've always stayed in minimum wage positions. So the question is, why? So I said, oh, why is that? And I'd love to hear your guesses as to why he stayed in minimum wage positions. And I've had people guess numerous things. And the thing that he stated as the reason is because he didn't have a college degree. And at the time, I didn't have a college degree either. So I said, I don't have a college degree. He said, what? You're in systems without a college degree? So we kind of went through that. And then I said, listen, figure out what area of systems you want to be in. And I'll put you in front of a first vice president in any one of those areas. He was like, what? You'll do that for me? I said, yeah, I'm going to do that for you. He never followed up on that. He never came back to me. We'd see each other in the hall all the time, almost every day. He said, oh, I didn't forget. I didn't forget you. Really wasn't about forgetting me. But what was he forgetting? Really about himself. If you want to call it forgetting. But he really wasn't forgetting. What he was being faced with is the fact that he either really didn't want it, or he didn't see himself as being maybe worthy of it, maybe capable. Maybe it was easier to say, oh, I can't do it because I don't have a degree, than to find out somebody gives you an opportunity and then you find out you just can't do it. Maybe that's what he was afraid of. Doesn't matter what the fear is. In particular, I mean, if it's in your life, you want to identify what it is and try to overcome that. But the fact of the matter is, the story he was telling himself about it being because of his college degree was a lie, because I handed him the opportunity to do something about it and he chose not to. So the question is, are you telling yourself the truth about what's keeping you from where you want to be? Is it about that business? Is it about you not having family to support, your husband and your wife is not supporting it? Is it really about that? Is it about your education? Is it about you don't have the certification? I've talked to people that wanted to be life coaches, and they'll stop and say, oh man, I got to get certified. I got to do. Based on who? Based on what? I'm not saying certification is a bad thing. Go get a certification. That's cool. It's not going to hurt you. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that you're waiting for. We always have reasons we're waiting for something. And sometimes there is no perfect opportunity. You just have to move. You start moving, start walking, and let the road get built in front of you as you walk. So I just wanted to share that with you about mindset. And the last nugget that I want to share with you, I don't remember what time. Looks like it's 22 minutes. But the last thing that I want to share with you is about marketing. So when it comes to marketing your business, whether it's your website, your Facebook page, business card, LinkedIn profile, whatever, all your social media profiles, quite honestly, anyone that has a heading underneath it or somewhere where you can describe what it is you do or what it is you offer the world. A lot of times we spend a lot of time talking about me. This is what I do. Here's all these great things that I am or I have, which is usually about features, but not really about benefits. What benefits are you bringing your clients? Well, that's a key element too. That wasn't the element I was headed for. So that was just kind of a golden nugget, if you will. But yeah, you want to focus on benefits and not features. Benefits is what it does. Features is what it is. I saw an example, and I'm going to use this actually in my webinar. But in the webinar, I'm using this slide that has an umbrella, and it's talking about the difference between features and benefits. So I had the umbrella there, and it had some type of cloth top, of course, and that's a feature. It had a wooden handle. That's a feature. It was resistant to kind of blowing inside out. That's a feature. The benefit is keeps you dry or protects you from the rain. Also can protect you from the sun. Too many heat waves or whatever, sun rays. Those are benefits. There's many other examples that we could give, but that's an idea. So you want to focus on the benefits that you provide, not the features. That'll help you engage your audience in a different way. It helps you engage the audience. There's 67% of your ideal clients that you're not even marketing to. Especially if you don't know to focus on benefits and not features, you're not even marketing to those folks. You're ignoring. You're ignoring 67% of your market. Excuse me. But the part that I did want to share with you is to make sure that your excuse me, make sure that your marketing is client facing. Instead of talking about all your accolades, talk about how you benefit your clients. What you do is a benefit to your clients, and not just focusing on who you are. They don't really care about your many degrees. They don't care where you went to school. They don't care about a lot of that stuff. What they care about is if they need your help, right? Because entrepreneurs, we solve problems for people for a profit. If you're solving problems for people for a profit, what problem are you solving? And then if you're solving the problem, can you help me? So if I'm looking into your website or something like that, the question that's in my mind is, can this person help me in some way? Can they help solve a problem for me? I don't care if you're degreed or not. If you can walk me to a promised land, whether you got a high school diploma, GED, or a doctorate in something, astrophysics or something, whatever. It doesn't really matter. None of that matters. I just need to know, can you help me get to where I want to be? So I just wanted to share that nugget with you, and I hope the mindset helps you. Feel free to share this with others that, even if they're not in business and they just could use the mindset reminder, share it with them. Play it again for yourself to remind yourself about mindset, keeping in mind that you want to think about, make sure you have the proper perspective of yourself, that you're projecting that out to others, and that you're doing things so that you're perceived correctly, and then make sure that the story you're telling yourself is in alignment with what's real and what's true. You guys, it's Friday, April 27th. Again, I hope you guys are having an awesome day. It's a little cloudy here where we are, maybe a little rainy. I haven't been out, but it looks wet out. But I just want you guys to have the best day and have the best second quarter possible. We still have plenty of time in the second quarter. We're only 1 month, just about 1 month done into the second quarter. If you didn't already look over your goals and make sure to see if you're in the line and see what you can tweak for the second quarter to make second quarter better than first quarter, and then we'll do the same on the third and the fourth, and hopefully reach your goals by the end of the year. If I can help you guys in any way, please let me know. Otherwise, you guys have a great day, and this is Kelly Mariano with Coach's Corner. You guys have a great one.